So, picture this, a field full of solar panels and a flock of sheep grazing peacefully right underneath them. Sounds a little strange, right? Well, today we're diving into a really cool idea that turns what seems like a conflict into an amazing partnership. It's all about a dual harvest.
All right, so let's set the stage. What's the big conflict here? For a long time, it's been framed as farms versus fuel. You know the deal. We're told we have to choose. Do we use our land to grow food, or do we use it to generate clean energy? It feels like this zero-sum game for our most precious resource, our land.
And this is the image that usually comes to mind, right? On one side, you've got these beautiful green pastures for farming. On the other, fields of solar panels soaking up the sun. The assumption has always been you gotta pick one. You can't have both. You have to sacrifice something.
But what if that's just wrong? What if we've been asking the wrong question this whole time? What if we don't actually have to choose?
And that brings us to this incredible concept called the dual harvest. This is where the story gets really interesting.
The official name for this idea is agrivoltaics. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. It's just a mashup of agriculture and photovoltaics, you know, the tech behind solar panels. And the definition is a game changer. It's all about using the exact same piece of land for both solar power and farming at the same time.
Yeah, think about it like this. It's not about drawing a line down the middle of a field. Nope. It's about creating one single smart system that gives you a double crop. You get energy from the sun and you get food from the soil, all from the same spot. A true dual harvest.
Okay, so when you combine these two things, something amazing happens. It creates what you could call the triple win effect. And this isn't just some nice compromise, okay? It's a system where every single part actually helps the other parts work better.
So let's break down these wins. Win number one, it's for the animals. Think about sheep out in a field on a scorching hot day. They don't do well in that heat. Well, these solar panels provide constant, moving shade. This totally reduces their heat stress. And that means they don't need to drink as much water, and they can spend more of their day just grazing peacefully. The end result is pretty clear. You get healthier animals, and they actually gain weight more effectively.
Now, you can't just throw any animal in there. It turns out sheep are kind of the superstars of agrivoltaics. Why? Because they're like nature's perfect lawnmowers. They keep the grass short so it doesn't block the panels, and they don't try to chew on the equipment. Cows, well, they're possible, but you need to build the panels higher and stronger. And goats? Goats are a bit of a risk. They're notorious for chewing on, well, everything, and that includes expensive wiring. So yeah, sheep are the ideal partners here.
All right, win number two is for the farm itself, the whole ecosystem. That shade from the panels, it's not just good for the animals. It keeps the pasture from getting baked by the sun. So the grass stays greener, it's more nutritious, and the soil holds onto way more moisture. But here's the really cool part. It's a two-way street. The plants release that moisture into the air, which actually cools down the solar panels from underneath. And cooler panels are more efficient panels. They can literally produce a few % more power just because they have a healthy pasture growing below them. How cool is that?
So what does this all add up to? Well, look at the numbers. If you take a piece of land and use it only for pasture, you get 100% of its output. Same if you use it only for solar. But when you combine them with agrivoltaics, studies are showing the total productivity of that land can jump by anywhere from 20 to a whopping 70%. You are literally getting so much more value from every single acre.
And that brings us to win number three, which is all about the bottom line. This is a much smarter way to do business. For the farmer, they can get a brand new, steady source of income by leasing their land to a solar company. And for the solar company, they save a ton of money on maintenance because the sheep are doing all the mowing for free. It gives the farmer a more diverse income, making their entire business way more stable and less dependent on, unpredictable weather or market prices.
So this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But of course, like with any new idea, it's not as simple as just plopping some panels down in a field and calling it a day. So let's talk about what it really takes to make this work. Yeah, there are definitely some practical things you have to figure out. You got to design the whole system with the right panel height for whatever animals you have. You need to make sure you leave enough space between the rows so you can still get tractors and other machinery through. The farmer might have to change up their rotational grazing patterns to work with the new shade. And of course, there's the big one, figuring out the initial investment and building that solid partnership with a solar developer. So when you step back and look at the big picture, what this really is a completely different way of thinking. You know, the old way was all about conflict. It was food or fuel, one or the other, a single output. The agrivoltaics way is about synergy. It's food and fuel. It's about that dual harvest from one smart integrated system.
And that really hammers home the main point. This isn't a compromise where everybody gives a little and gets a little less. This is a true win-win-win. It's a win for the animals, who get to live better lives. It's a win for the farmer, who gets a more stable and profitable business. And it's a win for all of us, for the environment, because we get clean energy that works with the land, not against it.
So we'll leave you with this to chew on. As we're all looking for smarter, more sustainable ways to live on this planet, could the answer be this simple? Just looking up at the sun and down at the grass and realizing maybe they were meant to work together all along? Could your next meal and the clean power for your home actually come from the very same field?